my honest diaries from the moment Reba had her accident and how we both went through the trauma, how we both went through the healing. So I will start at the beginning. So Sunday the 27th of October. It was a normal day. We'd been home from holiday in Cornwall for 3 days. We went for a walk and she'd got a bit muddy. So I wiped it off and was going to bath her the next day to give her time to dry properly before night time. About 8:30 p.m. on Sunday night, it was dark and she wanted to go out for a wee. I let her out as normal. She scampered past the patio and onto the grass. I heard a squeal and I honestly thought it was from a surprised cat or something that she had disturbed in the garden. Again, normal. But it went very quiet. I closed the door and after a minute, I just felt something was wrong, but wasn't sure what. I called her, no response. And I thought maybe she caught a rodent and was eating it, so she wouldn't respond, even to the treat packet being rattled. I grabbed my phone, switched on the light, but I couldn't see much. It was damp and I just had my slippers on, so I went back in to get my back door shoes and ventured further into my garden with the phone torch. About 10 metres in on the grass, I saw her lying next to the small cherry tree on her side. It took a few seconds to realise that she was motionless and it was serious. I screamed for my neighbours, but then I realised they must have gone away as there were no lights on in their house. Still, I screamed for help. Being winter, as all the windows were shut, there was no one around. And this was all within 4 or 5 minutes of letting her out for a wee. While shouting, I went to press on her chest and felt a strong pulse, but saw that she was gasping, choking, and her tongue and mouth was purple. My immediate thought was that she was choking and needed unblocking. One way to help dogs is to pick them up by their back legs to help dislodge anything in the airway. This is what I'd learnt in canine first aid. However, when I went to pick her up, she was totally floppy. So rather than shake her, and thank goodness I didn't, it clicked in my head, she may have broken her neck or back. I'm getting a bit tearful. It just brings back that day. I scooped her up off the wet grass and ran indoors and lay her on my kitchen floor while I looked up my vet's number. They're an independent practice and they have their own emergency cover, but out of hours, you have to note down another mobile number and call that. Well, I was so uncoordinated and shot, it took 4 dials of their voicemail to jot down that number. Tip: it's now saved at the very top of my contact list on my phone, so no scrolling needed. They answered very quickly, and although the thought of me driving her and not being able to attend to her at the same time filled me with dread, I agreed to rush her in after explaining what had happened. The vet is 2 villages away, so a 10-15 minute drive. It was horrific. I had laid Reba in the boot, as that is flat and is where she normally goes. It has dividers for safety, as I didn't want her moving off the back seats. This is where my brain was not functioning rationally, as of course she couldn't move at this point if she wanted to. All the way I was talking to her. I love you, hang on, Mummy's here, good girl, come on. The last one was directed to both her to hang on to life and to will the car in front of me to go fast. My prayers were answered. It's mostly a 30-mile-per-hour limit for most of the route, but the car in front, how dare they be there, was speeding, as was I. Let the police catch me later, I didn't care at that point. My only thought was to get help and some expert hands on my dog. My fear was that she would die alone in the back of my car without me holding her. Sorry. I arrived at the vet's. They were waiting for me and saw my car fly in and slammed to a halt in front of the doors. The nurse came out and I just said, "Help me!" So she scooped Reba out of the boot and carried her in while I closed my car up and held the vet door open for her. They rushed her into the main consulting room, lay her down, instantly put the oxygen on her. So I helped her hold the mask near her face as Reba was agitated. It was during these first few seconds that I noticed that Reba was breathing better and her mouth was pink again. I felt my talking to her the whole way helped her to recover that aspect. As they did say, it sounded like she was having a seizure after the impact. The nurse had already paged the on-call vet, and it turns out he lived very close to me as he recognised us. I was there to reassure Reba, to keep her head still as much as possible, and I went through all the things I had done and seen. They were very complimentary and said my quick actions had saved her life. Had I just gone indoors and waited for Reba to bark at the door to be let in, she would have died in my garden. My gut instinct that night saved me. By now, from letting Reba out and arriving at the emergency vet was under 30 minutes. It was still before 9 p.m. They checked Reba's temperature. Oh, the indignity. But I doubt she felt it. And what seemed every 10 minutes. She was cold, so they put heat pads under her, blankets on top, and hot hands, with gloves filled with warm water on her. I could see that one of her eyes was very white, and they checked it out and it was Horner's syndrome. This is where the pupil does not react, and for dogs, the third eyelid gets stuck over the eye. It's a classic sign of spinal injury in the neck. The vet picked her up to assess her and she instantly collapsed with no support on her legs. They were literally holding her up. She had nothing on her legs. They put her back on the table, inserted an IV line, no response from Reba on this, and then took an x-ray. This is why I had to leave the room for protocol. I was allowed back in and immediately went to Reba's head end, but almost behind her so I could reassure her and talk to her, and they had space to do their monitoring. I was shown the x-ray. Her neck vertebrae were out of line, stepped, and a piece of bone had broken away underneath the main injury area. The vet explained to me what he could see and then went to make some phone calls for a neurology referral. It was an agonising wait, as he had to send off the x-ray for them to review before they would accept any patients. It was only at this point that I started to cry. It hit me just how serious this was, how life-threatening this injury could be to Reba. I think I was on automatic pilot before, being practical and trying to remember details. We were waiting for them to call back, but after half an hour, he called again. They had not got the email with the x-ray. So we redid and had to wait again. The first referral centre called back, but they could not see Reba till Tuesday, and it was not a case that we could wait. So their second choice was contacted, and on seeing the x-ray, they could take Reba at 9 a.m. the next morning. By now, it was about 10:30 p.m. I had called my new neighbours to ask to check if I closed my front door, as I had no recollection, and how could I with Reba in my arms? Apparently I had, and they left me a lovely voicemail. For now, all they could do was keep Reba still and give her lots of meds for pain relief and sedation so that she didn't try and move, and to closely monitor her. They would empty her bladder to make her more comfortable. She had already left a trail of poo in my home as I carried her out the kitchen and out to the car. I had to say goodbye for now, and that was hard. I didn't want to leave her. Not only is she very hyper attached to me and does find comfort from me, but I was scared that I might not see her again. They promised to call me at any signs of deterioration, so I kissed her and stroked her head, whispered to her and promised to see her tomorrow. I refused to say the G word. I couldn't. Leaving her and driving home was horrific. Tears were streaming down my face, and it felt so alien to be leaving her behind. And I even put a picture of the x-ray in the book. I can't read anymore. Sorry. There is a happy ending. Reaper's still here. But I hope no one ever has to go through what I went through. But I know dogs, they do have injuries, they have spinal issues, and it can be really tough. So my honest diary is to give support to anyone else who, through injury or disease, have found their dog incapacitated and going through what I went through, and don't feel alone. Thank you.